everyone, welcome to my channel and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. So this is another episode in my gemstones and crystal videos that I've been doing, and I hope that you have found that the other videos are very interesting and very enlightening. Because we are now entering the gift giving season and people love to give and receive gifts of gemstone jewelry, I thought I'd do a talk on the 4 C's of gemstones. So if you've ever bought gemstones in the past, you've probably already encountered what the 4 C's are and didn't even know you were encountering the 4 C's. So what are the 4 C's? Well, the 4 C's are the set of standard criteria that are used by jewelers and gemologists to evaluate the price of a gemstone. This concept was developed in about 1940 to about 1950 as a way of assessing the price of diamonds. But they proved to be so successful with diamonds that it was extended to embrace all gemstones and pearls. So what are the 4 C's? The 4 C's are, and I've got a little diagram here, it's carat weight, cut, color, and clarity. And in this video, I am going to start off talking about carat weight. And this is very important because it is a key factor in evaluating the price of a gemstone. So what is a carat and how was it derived? So historically, gemstones were weighed using carob seeds. So they weighed the gemstone against the carob seed, and they used a balance scale to do that. So they'd put the carob seed into one little pot of the balance scale, and they'd put the gemstone in the other, and when the scales balanced off, they knew that the gemstone was about the same weight as the carob seed. The word carat is actually derived from the Italian word which is carato, which comes from the Arabic word which is kirat, and that in turn comes from the Greek word which is kiration, which actually means carob seed. So the whole word carat is actually derived from carob seed. So the carat is actually a unit of weight that has been used historically to measure gemstones and pearls. So this carat that we're talking about now should not be confused with the carats used to describe gold or silver metals. The carat there refers to the purity of the metal. So if you're talking about 24 karat gold, you're actually referring to the purity of that gold, and 24 karat gold is about 99.95% pure. And if you're looking at 18 karat gold, you're actually saying that there's about 75% pure gold in that metal, with about 25% alloy in it. So that refers to purity of the metal as opposed to weight. So when you're talking about carats to do with gemstones, you're actually talking about weight measurement. Now, back to gemstones again. So different countries now tended to have different carat weights, and the reason being is that the carob seeds themselves, although they look very standardized, in size and in weight, they actually turned out not to be so standardized. And I've got a little scale over here just to show you that the carats actually vary. The weight actually varies for carob seeds, so they are not standardized weight, even though they look like they're about the same size and weight. And I'll just show you how the weights can vary from seed to seed. So the first seed I'm putting in weighs around 2.78 grams, and a second seed, which is about the same size, weighs about 2.34. So these are already varying within this little batch of seeds, even though they're all looking the same. And a third seed that goes in is about 2.82 grams. So the weight is quite varied amongst the seeds themselves, and they really are not standardized. And because of this reason, the different countries had different values for their carat weights, and this caused a lot of discrepancies, a lot of problems. I've got a little diagram here showing you, a little table really showing you how the weights varied from country to country. This is the weight for a carat. So in Cyprus, 1 carat was equivalent to 187 milligrams. In Brazil, it was about 192 milligrams. In Egypt, it was about 195. In South Africa, 205 milligrams. In Venice, 207 milligrams, and in Bucharest it was 215 milligrams. So if you ended up buying something, a gemstone in Cyprus, 1 carat of a gemstone in Cyprus, it would weigh 187 grams, and if you went to go and sell it in Bucharest, which had a carat weight of 215 grams, you'd actually be selling, it would be a lower value because it's less than what the carat is in Bucharest. And this could have obviously caused a lot of problems. There might have been a lot of arguments and fights that were going on because of this discrepancy in the carat weights. Now, to overcome that, in 1871, the syndical Chamber of Jewelers in Paris proposed that the weight of the carat be standardized. And this was accepted by the Syndical Chamber of Diamond Merchants in about 1877. And they proposed the metric carat. And the metric carat was 1 carat was equivalent to 200 milligrams, or 1/5 of the gram. So they wanted to standardize it at that weight. Now, it took them about 30 years to achieve this, and the weight was accepted finally by the International Committee of Weights and Measurements at the General Conference of Metric Convention in Paris in October 1907. And this was then made compulsory. So the weight of a metric carat was taken as 200 milligrams for 1 carat. Now, I've got a little diagram here that just shows it, the weight, what 1 carat really is. So a carat is actually the standard weight that is now used to measure gemstones and diamonds. So 1 carat is equal to 200 milligrams. Then the carat itself is now divided into 100 points or 100 parts. And each part or each point, you can get, since the whole thing is 200 milligrams, you divide it into 100 parts. And each part or each point of gemstone is equal to 2 milligrams. So this is a very, very important value for the carat and the points or the divisions of that carat. So 1 carat divided into 100 points, and each point is 2 milligrams, and the whole carat is now 200 milligrams. So that is the standardized way in which we now measure or weigh gemstones. And this is important because gemstones are priced according to weight. This is how we evaluate a gemstone. The first criteria that we use to evaluate the gemstone is the weight. And the weights of the gemstones are usually rounded up to the nearest point or to the nearest 2 milligrams. So when you are assessing a gemstone's value or the size of a gemstone, you shouldn't really be looking at the size of it or the dimensions of it. You actually should be physically weighing it, because within the family of gemstones, the densities of the gemstones vary from gemstone to gemstone. So the density is how tightly packed the atoms are within that particular crystal. Now, if you've got a crystal that has very, very tightly packed atoms, you're going to have that gemstone weighing more per unit size, as opposed to a gemstone that has very loosely packed atoms. That will be a lighter stone, and it will weigh less for that size of gemstone. So it is very important to actually weigh the gemstone because the weight is now determined by the density of the gemstone itself. And I've got a little diagram over here just to show you how price varies with the weight of a gemstone. So this is the relationship between the weight of a gemstone and the price of a gemstone. So you can see the price going up as the weight is going up. But it doesn't the relationship between the price and the weight is not linear. So it's what we call an exponential increase. So it increases much more as the price increases much more as the weight of the stone increases. So if you're looking at smaller stones, you've got an almost linear relationship between price and weight. But once you reach a certain point, it seems like as the weight of the stone increases, the price goes up even more. So, if you're looking at 2 or 3 or 4 carats of diamonds, they're going to be very, very expensive, as opposed to when you're looking at the smaller sizes of it. So that weight is very, very important when determining the price or how much you're going to be spending on that particular gemstone. The price is definitely going to hike up as the weight of that stone increases. So this is very, very important, this relationship that exists. So I'm just going to show you some examples of gemstones that vary as far as weight and density goes. So I've got here a jade gemstone, and this is got a density of about 3.2, so pretty high density. And I've got here an amethyst stone that's got a density of about 2.66, so much less than the actual jade gemstone. And I'm going to just weigh them. They're about the same size, so they should really be around the same weight. But as it turns out, when I put the amethyst gemstone on the scale, we have got a weight sitting at about 39 grams here with the amethyst. And when I put the jade gemstone on the scale, I've got a weight of 56.96 grams. So you can see that just a variation in the density of the stone, and even though they're about the same sizes, actually changes the weight quite dramatically. This is so important. So even though you think that these two stones have got the same weight, actually their carat weights are much, much different from each other. And finally, I just want to show you, the different kinds of variations in carats, really, and how this plays out when you're buying jewelry. So I've got here a 1 carat solitaire diamond ring, and you can see it's very, very beautiful. It is 1 carat, nice and clear, and this is going to be 200 milligrams in weight, because it is a 1 carat diamond. Now, surprisingly, this is also a 1 carat diamond ring, but it looks much bigger than that ring. However, all the stones are about 5 points. And the weight of the stone here in this 1 carat is actually the same weight as this solitaire ring here. Now, this is another solitaire ring. It's got a nice distribution of black and white diamonds, and the sizes of the diamonds are about really a half a point, really. I think 1 to a half a point of diamonds in size. So the stones are pretty small, and there's quite a few of them there. And it looks like there's quite it looks like you're getting a lot of stone here. But in actual fact, this ring has got the same weight of stones as the solitaire ring. Now, surprisingly, or what you may not have known is, the smaller the stone, it's obviously going to be cheaper, because the bigger the stone, as I showed you in the graph, the price of the stone goes up as the stone size increases. So although you have a carat of diamonds here and a carat of diamonds here, because you're sitting here with a solitaire, a much bigger stone than these 0.5 carats or 0.5 points, or 1 point of diamonds here. These are much smaller stones. So this ring here is much cheaper than this ring here. I think if you have to compare price-wise, this is almost 100 times cheaper than the solitaire ring itself. So you can see how points or smaller stones will actually influence the price of that particular ring or particular piece of jewelry. So even though they both have 1 carat of stones in it, and it's the same weight of stones, because this is a bigger stone, it will certainly be more expensive than this 1 carat ring with all these little stones in it. So that is something that you need to keep in mind when you are buying jewelry, that the size of the stone does matter when you're evaluating the gemstone, or when you're purchasing a gemstone, and that this graph here, where the price is hiking with the weight or the size of the stone, it's a very important relationship that exists, and one to take note of. So when you buy your jewelry, make sure you get yourself a nice little scale, and so that you are aware of the weight of the stones that you are buying, and bear in mind, what the value of a point is, which is 2 milligrams, and what a value of a carat of diamonds are, which is 200 milligrams. So these are really important points to remember when you are buying your jewelry, and you will be able to appreciate your stones much more knowing how much they weigh, because that in turn determines the price of that stone. So if you're getting something for Christmas, a stone for Christmas, and you wait, you can really ascertain exactly what the value of that piece of jewelry is. So get yourself a nice set of scales, jewelry scales, so that gives you a good idea about carat weight. And carat weight is very, very important as well when you're buying crystals, apart from buying jewelry, it's also important when you're buying crystals for meditation. It's good to know exactly what weight you're getting, and whether you're being taken for a ride or not. I always say, get yourself something, be in the know, understand your gemstones, and the first place to start is by knowing what the weight is, since it's such an important factor or important feature when buying gemstones. So I hope that you have found this video very, very interesting, and it's given you some food for thought. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and leave me some comments if you've enjoyed this video. And thank you so much for watching. Take care now. Goodbye.